What else could I be? All apologies. What else could I say? Everyone is gay. Now, this is going to sound funny coming from a guy and a platform that is an ally to the LGBTQIA plus community. But we have to understand that there are a lot of people who are puppeteers. They're puppeteers. And what they're doing is they're pitting people against each other and they're putting things that shouldn't be in the same bracket. The idea that I had before about not truncating, about compounding, the idea I had before about compounding minorities, where a black guy just can't be a black guy, right? As a minority, the black guy has to be black, he has to be gay, disabled, and an immigrant, and he has to be all these different things. That way, they can tokenize him. All these different tokens can be put in one character, and then the dominant society can have the entire cast of the film where they can afford distinction to their own people. Okay, now we can afford wide array of distinction for white men, white women, right? So that way you can have, a blonde, very wild white guy, kind of like a surfer boy who's devil may care. He's kind of like a wild cowboy. And you have the dark-haired, short cut hair military guy who's very disciplined, right? Then you have the other guy who has long rocker hair. So he's kind of like the surfer boy, but this one's wild and, he's kind of like a Wolverine. He's almost psychopathic. All these different kinds of variety and diversity can be afforded. All the distinction can be afforded to the dominant society, right? They don't have to be saddled with, okay, that guy's an immigrant, that guy's gay, that guy's disabled. No, they pour all of that into one tokenized character, and then they can square it away. Yes, they do this. And one of the people, some of the people, not one of the people, some of the people who actually do this sort of thing, they also have other agendas, like queering society. Again, this is coming from a guy who's an ally of the LGBTQIA community. So this is going to sound strange, but you shouldn't queer society. That shouldn't be a thing. Can you imagine if I said, let's blackify society? Let's make everything black, right? So every single person, they have to go get melanin injections now. They have to stay out in the sun so that they can be my color. Melanin injections and then stay out in the sun and be my color. Then they have to go get haircuts, or they have to go get genetic alterations so that their hair is tightly curled like mine. Then they have to go remove discs if they're like 6 feet tall or 6'4", 6 foot whatever. They have to go and they have to get discs removed from their spinal columns so that they become my height, around 5'7", 5'8". Imagine if I told society that they had to do that. You get what I'm saying? So am I gonna brotepify society? That's what I'm talking about here, which is, okay, you want the world to be more accepting of queer folk and LGBTQ people. Yes, that's totally an admirable pursuit, and I'm all for it. But when you have an agenda to make everyone and everything gay, then you're treading on the rights of people who are not gay and who that's not their thing, that's not their pursuit, and then you're treading on their rights to have autonomy over their own destiny, right? I'm not gay. I support the LGBTQIA society or community, but I'm not gay. Why would you, let's say, be like, well, you know what, bro tap, now you have to be gay? No, I don't have to be. That's not my identity. I respect your identity as a gay person, but why do I have to be, right? And usually it's not even gay people who are doing this. It's not anyone from the LGBTQI community. You know who's doing this? It's liberal elites. They want to play around with people's lives. They're not doing this to advance any sort of cause to bring equality or anything like that. They're doing this in order to play God with people's lives. Okay, you were straight, now you have to be gay now. You were gay, now you have to be straight now. You're gonna like pussy, damn it. Right? So they're doing these sorts of things, and we all have to, gay, straight, or whatever, we all have to open our eyes and see what is going on. Look beyond. We have to look beyond our narcissism and our egos to say, okay, maybe this person does not, maybe this person has a reaction to being called gay because they're not gay. That's not their identity. Imagine if you're a lesbian. In fact, many lesbian friends of mine, they have voiced concerns about this particular thing where someone's like, yeah, with some right dick, she gonna be straight. No, she's not gonna be straight with the right amount of dick. That's not how that works. She's lesbian. That's her identity. That's, she was born that way. This is how she ticks. So then now you are insulting her by going, oh well, with this dick, you know what I'm saying? After this dick, she ain't never going back to being queer, you know what I'm saying? No, no, no. Stop. Just stop. You're messing with someone's core identity here. Okay? So these people, the elite who are doing this, they realize and acknowledge, they acknowledge the value of not only propaganda, but of media propaganda. That's who they have been all along. They have been the ones behind all the movies, all the music, and all these different things. They have acknowledged that human beings right now on the planet, let's get it real here. Well, before I even do that, welcome to the Brotep Show.
You, turn around.
You prefer the view from behind?
No, well, yes. You know I can't lie.
Yes. And so what we have is a compendium of people who want control. That's what it is. They have come to crave the amount of influence they have over your life. So now, one of the things, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on in the educational system, but they're actually bringing in a curriculum or curriculi. I don't know what the forms are for that particular word, right? But they're bringing in different kinds of programming into your school where they get to tell your kids or get to teach your kids at around 7 to 10 years old what gay, transsexual, transgender, what all these things mean. They get to tell your kids what oral sex means, what anal sex means. No, these things, I reserve the right as a parent. Well, I'm not a parent yet, but when I become a parent, I reserve the right to teach those things to my children at my own time schedule, not your time schedule. You don't get to decide when I tell my kids about these things. They will be told about it because that's the way of the world. These things exist, but do you have to dictate uh the schedule or the chronology by which you tell my kids that? Why? Why? That's not a thing. I should be dictating to my kids, or I should be dictating when my kids learn about a particular life situation. What you should be teaching my kids in school is math, social studies, science, gym. Okay? That's what you should be teaching my kids. Or also language arts, like, English, French, whatever. You shouldn't be teaching my kids how to put on a condom. He's 7 years old. Okay? Doesn't even know what an erection is yet. You're teaching him what a blowjob is. That's not a thing. That's not. But they're bringing these things in there. They have books now, like a textbook. There's a textbook called Jimmy and His Two Dads, or something like that. That's not something that I want introduced to my kids outside of a sphere of control where I get to disseminate that information at my discretion. You get what I mean? So my kid goes to your, and the other thing is they're implementing things where, okay, um they can put your kid in a dress. There's been many videos that have come out. Like there's a guy who dropped his grandson over, either his nephew or his grandson, over to the school. I'll say grandson. All right. There's a guy who dropped his grandson off at a school and he went about his business. Maybe he ran some errands, went to work, etc. When he came back, his grandson was in a dress. Okay. So he stormed into the office of the school. I think it was the faculty office, and demanded to know why his son was put in a dress. And the thing is, if he hadn't done that, let's say he had come back, right? And they already took the son out of the dress, like all day the son has been in a dress. The grandson has been in a dress. And then when the grandfather's pulling up, they put the son back in his, the clothing that he came into the school with. Then the grandfather would have never known that his grandson had that experience of being put into a dress and high heels or whatever else they did to the boy. And the boy doesn't have to tell his grandfather. They can give things to your kids, they can do things to your kids, and they don't, the children don't have to tell you. They're not obligated to tell you. These are the sorts of things they're implementing right now. And again, it's not the LGBTQIA community. Many of them, believe it or not, many of them are religious and they're conservative. They don't agree with this stuff either. Yes, there are gay, conservative, and religious people, and they don't agree with this thing. Another thing is the Muslim community. They are giving a whole variety of pushback to this. It has happened in the UK, where the UK's educational system, we're trying to teach the young Muslim kids, the young Aramaic Muslim kids, about LGBT rights, two parents that are the same gender. Timmy has two dads, Margaret has two moms, these sorts of things. And then the gay community, the Muslim community, they protested and had that reverse. They said, no, you will not be teaching our children this. That's unacceptable. We reserve the right to teach our children about these life matters at a time of our own choosing, not you. Nothing wrong with being gay. If you're gay, no problem. But you're not going to sit here and teach my kids about all these life things, all these life occurrences, all these life circumstances behind my back. And then with maybe, I don't know if, I don't want to accuse anyone of having an agenda in the educational community too much, but if you have an agenda, now you get to implement that agenda on my child. No, that's not a thing. That's not anywhere near acceptable. So moving on to the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie, who is the actor who portrays Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, and who will now be Captain America. I'll be making a video about why I think Falcon should not be Captain America. He should stay as Falcon, right? But that's a story for another time. Let me focus on this right now. So with Anthony Mackie being on Twitter most of the time, and not most of the time, when he's not, filming awesome stuff, acting in awesome stuff for us to watch. He's on Twitter, he's on social media. He's very prolific for being active with the fans, right? If you text him, not text him, if you tweet him, most likely he'll tweet back at you, right? And this is one of those times where usually I say don't contact these people. But I think Anthony Mackie could use your support right now. So if you go on Twitter and you feel like tweeting him some words of support, like, yes, we understand what you're saying, I totally support that, because he actually took a stand. And the thing is, he took a very respectful stand, but that's never enough for these people. And that, by these people, I mean the ones who want control, not the LGBTQIA community. But the thing is, they have so much control. Not only do they want control, but they have so much control already that anything you say, the things that I say right now, they will be twisted and flipped on its head. All that stuff will be twisted and flipped on its head to say something that I did not say, to say something that Anthony Mackie did not say. So, for example, I started this by saying that I support the LGBTQIA plus community. I even went the whole route. I gave the whole alphabet for it. Usually people just say LGBT or just say the queer community. But I give that entire respect of saying the whole thing, even though it's cumbersome in conversation. I say the whole thing because I want to be inclusive. They'll forego all of that and they'll overlook all of that and say, well, this guy, Brotep, is homophobic, transphobic, and all these different things. Even though I afford every level of respect, they just want control. If you don't agree with them 1,000,000%, they just want control. They will destroy you. So even though Anthony Mackie was extremely respectful, in fact, let me go into what he said. I'm going to go through Twitter, and this only happened about an hour ago. To my knowledge, this only happened an hour ago. And within an hour of this happening, all these different websites, so-called news websites, already have articles about it, poorly written ones, obviously, but that's how quick they moved on this. That's how quickly they moved on this. Give me a second here. Let's go to share screen. They moved on this very quickly. The propaganda machine is real. It is real. Do not get it twisted. These guys, they are on the ball. They bring their A game. I'll tell you that for free. Let me get into this here, and before that, let's announce that let's announce that it's reading time. If you're Negro, Brotep. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see this here, and I'm not sharing. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. Let me go here. Okay, so as you can see here, it's a photo of Bucky and Falcon, right? Falcon and Winter Soldier. Side note, I did not know Bucky was that tall. Anthony Mackie's about around 6 feet, 6'1". So that would make Bucky around 6'2", or maybe 6'1", 6'2". If Anthony Mackie's six feet, then Bucky would be 6'1". That's very tall. I didn't know that. He's one of those guys that looks like you imagine is smaller than they actually are in real life. When contrast, conversely, someone like Tom Cruise is somebody you imagine would be bigger in real life. And actuality, Tom Cruise is like 5'6", 5'7", and very small. You can be short and then still be big. Like I think Mike Tyson's like 5'10", but Mike Tyson is very broad. You know what I mean? Give me a second. This is what Anthony Mackie answered, because well, I guess I should do a little bit of preamble here before I go into it. The preamble here is there's something called shipping. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, right? So whenever you have like a show, TV show, animated series, streaming, story, movie, comic book, even any of these sorts of things, there's a community out here. Mostly it's LGBTQIA plus, and they're artists and they're creators and stuff like that, but they're mostly fans. They start to put characters together, and usually it's two male characters, and they put them in relationships. So for like Star Wars, they would have like Han Solo and Luke and have them making out or having sex or stuff like that. Okay, even though in the movies, Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, their relationship is very deep and very complex, but it's never romantic. Those two are very straight guys. Han Solo is, married to Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker betrayed his heterosexual. Luke Skywalker's heterosexuality is so strong that he defied his Jedi vow of abstinence so that he can marry Mara Jade, a really sexy redhead, redhead woman, to clarify. So those two men are not homosexual by any means, but in all of these, in all of these, what do you call them? Ships, they put them together. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, the moment the series came out, they started having ships form. They had them having sex, making out, feeling each other, groping each other. They had all these different things floating around on the internet. Now, the thing is, I don't expect you, my audience, to be aware of this because you're not into geekdom, and you're definitely, I assume, not into like, Tumblr culture and these sorts of things. But that was a thing. So when Anthony Mackie was asked about all these ships, because everywhere you turn around on the internet right now, in the geekosphere, his character is getting shipped to Bucky. They're always making out, and then Sam, Anthony Mackie, who I imagine is kind of like me, where he supports the LGBTQIA plus community, but he's not LGBTQIA plus. He'd like for everyone to respect each other's boundaries and each other's sovereignty, right? Personal sovereignty, bodily autonomy, bodily sovereignty. But that's never enough for these guys, for these people, the controllers. His response when he was asked about, hey, have you seen all these ships where they're having you make out with Bucky and these sorts of things? What do you think about that? And he said, it used to be, let me highlight it for you. It used to be guys can be friends. We hang out and it was cool. You can't do that anymore because something as pure and beautiful as homosexuality has been exploited by people who are trying to rationalize themselves. Yeah, exactly. There are people who are trying to rationalize themselves, but he forgot to include because he's not looking at this in a full 360 way like I am. It's not just rationalizing themselves. If that was all that was, then you could just chalk it up to, or write it off and chalk it up to people who are insecure with their own sexuality. And so they're trying to make everyone around them gay in order to bolster and reinforce the fact that they are gay, but they're too insecure to come out and say that they're gay. But if everyone around them starts being gay and stuff like that, then they feel like, okay, so I have company, I won't be alone. So there are people, if that was the thing to rationalize themselves, that would be one thing. But we're talking about a broader rubric here, a bigger rubric under which these things fall. So you have people rationalizing themselves in under that rubric, but you have the majority of them being people who want control. Let me move on to what else Anthony Mackie said here. There's nothing more masculine than being a superhero and flying around and beating people up. But there's nothing more sensitive than having emotional conversations with a kindred spirit, friendship with someone that you care about and love. He adds, yeah, and that's the sorry, my allergies somehow are still lingering around despite the season changing. So basically he's absolutely right because that's the dynamic that I got from Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan's characters' relationship. That's what I got from it. That these are two guys who have a deepening friendship because, and you know what, Sam Wilson's character, Sam Wilson had that particular relationship with Steve Rogers. Well, I guess he's going to cover that. Let me not bury. No, that's not called bury. Let me not jump ahead of myself here. Nothing more masculine. Okay, and Anthony Mackie continues. Sam and Steve had a relationship where they admired, appreciated, and loved each other. Buck and Sam have a relationship where they learn how to accept, appreciate, and love each other. You can call it a bromance, but it's literally just two guys who have each other's backs. That's exactly the vibe and the sentiment that I came away with when watching the entire season of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I think the second season is going to be called Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because Falcon's been promoted to Captain America. And I guess he continues here. Something that's always been very important to me is showing a sensitive masculine figure, Mackie says. Get his full comments on the Falcon and Winter Soldier in the latest episode of Variety's Awards Circuit podcast. No, I'm not giving you any views, Variety, because this, believe it or not, this was a hit piece. Because he should have said this and then it went under the bridge. It should not have been this big blown up thing, but it is. They've made a story out of a non-controversy. They've made a full story out of it. This is a controversy. This is something that he should have been said, and everyone nodded and said, "Yep, that's true." But what's happening is that we're getting these. Let me get it here. We're getting these. It's immediately an hour after he said this. The article started pouring in. Look at this. Anthony Mackie on hopes for a Bucky Sam romance. Homosexuality has been exploited. Now I see what Sam is doing here, what Anthony Mackie's doing here. He knows that if he protests, and let's be honest, he's not gay. He's not gay. There's a perverse thing that these guys are doing where they try to get straight actors, a lot of times straight black actors. They try to get them to kiss guys on screen. Now the thing is, on screen they're portraying a gay character, but in real life they're straight people. So now you're forcing me, for the sake of my job, to open my mouth and swap spit with another man, to literally French kiss another man on screen for your perverse pleasure. The reason why it's perverse is not because it's homosexual. The reason why it's perverse is that you're forcing a straight person to commit a homosexual act. It would be the same as if you had a gay guy, right? Like let's say Matt Bomer, he's gay. Let's say you had him and then you forced him to kiss Cameron Diaz. That's the same level of perversity. This is a guy who's not into women, and you're forcing him to kiss a woman on screen just because the characters say so. Ooh. Like it's all about control. That's what this is. So now you're gonna have this strong black man here, and you're gonna force him to kiss this white dude. No, like that shouldn't be a thing. MCU fans have gravitated. Let me move on here. The article's written by Richard Nebbins, and I haven't read it yet, but I assume it's a hit piece. I assume it's a hit piece. Usually, when these things come out quickly like that, boom, boom, they're hit pieces. MCU fans have gravitated heavily to Marvel Studios' efforts with Disney Plus stories in Phase 4, which is which is continuing in a big way after the first two episodes of Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Immediately preceding this multiversal madness was the much more grounded journey of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which centered this guy didn't even think about any punctuation in the sentence. Wow. This is what I'm telling you. This is why I'm telling you that it's a hit piece. He rushed this out. He didn't even think about a punctuation. There should be commas here. Immediately, let me highlight this for you all. Immediately preceding the immediately preceding this multiversal madness was was the much more grounded journey of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which entered on Sam Wilson's evolution, which centered on Wilson's evolution into the new Captain America. There should have been two or three commas in here, but this guy's in such a hurry to come in here and throw shade at Anthony Mackie that he forgot about all the rules of grammar. 5 of the show's 6 episodes He continues. If he drones on without getting to the point, because what he's doing is he's setting this up. Give me 1 second here. What he's doing is he's setting this up, right? So if he drones on and on, I'm gonna abandon the article. It's my first time. You and I are reading. You, the audience, and myself were reading the article for the first time. Both of us. Five of the six shows of the show. Five of the show's six episodes shined a stop. Five of the show's six episodes shined a spotlight on the relationship between Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, comma, which has been brewing steadily since they first appeared together in 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The two grew from being reluctant partners to close friends by the time they defeated the Flag Smashers, giving a new depth to their bond after starting as mutual acquaintances of Steve Rogers. However, through all this, there was there were certain signs of something more brewing between them, at least according to a portion of the fan base. This led to the show's co-stars. This led one of the show's co-stars to comment on how the outcries for a new kind of MCU relationship backfired in a way. Anthony Mackie talks Bucky MCU friendship. The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Mackie spoke with Variety about the relationship between Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes in the series. Specifically, he touched on how this era makes it difficult for two characters like this to simply be friends that love each other rather than being in a romantic relationship with each other. You could have put one another there, Ben. Mackie admitted to feeling that there's an exploitation of homosexuality in 2021, and he's absolutely right. I have to get back to this here, where I see what Anthony Mackie's doing. If Anthony Mackie highlighted the fact that his heterosexuality is being, tread upon, nobody would care. Nobody would care. They'd be like, "Oh, suck it up. Heterosexuality, masculinity, so fragile," right? They would have made fun of him. So he kind of flipped it because there are two dynamics being mistreated here, right? Two parties are being mistreated. Heterosexuals and homosexuals are being mistreated here because what you're doing is you're treading on one another's boundaries. Let me continue. Mackie admitted to feeling there's an exploitation of homosexuality in 2021, making the idea of two guys being friends and loving each other a strange problem. He looked back at how guys used to be able to be friends and hang out, and it was cool. But also at how something as pure and as beautiful as homosexuality has been exploited by vocal people trying to rationalize themselves. He actually, Ben, the writer's article, the article's writer, he he added by vocal people. He added that. So I don't want you to think that Anthony Mackie. I keep calling him the character's name. I don't want you to think that Anthony Mackie said by vocal people. So many things are twisted and convoluted. Okay, so I think he added more. Anthony Mackie added more here. So many things are twisted and convoluted. There are so many things that people latch onto with their own devices to make themselves relevant and rational. The idea of two guys being friends and loving each other in 2021 is a problem because of the exploitation of homosexuality. It used to be guys can be friends, we can hang out, and it was cool. You would always meet your friends at a bar. You can't do that anymore because something as pure and as beautiful as homosexuality has been exploited by people who are trying to rationalize themselves. Through all this, Mackie expressed that it's always been important to him to show a sensitive masculine figure in his work. Although he admitted that being a superhero and flying around and beating people up is surely masculine, he spoke of how important having emotional conversations and a kindred spirit friendship with someone that you care about and love is as well. So, something that's always been very important to me, this is the quote, is showing a sensitive masculine figure. There's nothing more masculine than being a superhero and flying around and beating people up. But there's nothing more sensitive than having emotional conversations and a kindred spirit friendship with someone that you care about and love. Mackie even looked back at the relationship that Sam Wilson had with Steve Rogers, in which they admired, appreciated, and loved each other, describing, okay, so this guy's let me see, get to the point, Ben. Two guys being friends. Okay, let's see. I think now Ben gets to the point. Two guys being friends. The current era of entertainment has certainly taken the right steps towards the term representation, especially in giving same-sex relationships the platform they deserve. However, Mackey's quotes indicate that there's a point where it becomes more about exploitation than doing things the right way. It seems Ben agrees with Mackey here. The MCU is at the forefront of this movement of representation, already having plans to bring the franchise's first gay marriage to the big screen in Eternals when it debuts in November. Let me give a side note to that, right? The gay marriage they're talking about involves a black man. This is what I was telling you earlier on about compounding minorities, where they can't have a straight black guy. The black guy has to be an immigrant, he has to be gay, he has to be handicapped, he has to be all these different other minorities squeezed into one. Okay, he can't just be, black. And if he's gay, he can't just be gay and then everything else is mainstream. No. What shouldn't happen, let me continue here. Let me highlight that. What shouldn't happen with this, though, is the destruction or elimination of friendships like the one Sam and Bucky have developed in multiple outings together. Yes, I completely agree. So Ben is not giving a hit piece here. This may look like this is or it's starting to look like a legitimate article where he's kind of reporting on this truthfully and not doing a hit piece. In terms of this specific relationship, both Winter Soldier actor Sebastian Stan. Ugh, God, I wish you guys would phonetically work these things out before, publishing, because it's very hard saying this out loud. Hold on. In terms of this specific relationship with both Winter Soldier actor Sebastian Stan and director Carrie Skokeland have shared what in God's name? How did you write this, Ben? In terms of the specific relationship, both Winter Soldier actor Sebastian Stan and director Carrie Skokeland have shared their thoughts on how Sam and Bucky's relationship or friendship is only platonic. See, platonic is the wrong word to use here. They can have a deep relationship. Platonic means on the surface, right? It's a surface relationship. But what these two men have is not a platonic relationship. It's almost like brothers. They're almost like brothers who bicker all the time, but deeply care for one another. And if one of them dies, the other guy would be toe up. You know what I mean? So it's more than platonic. There are levels and different kinds of love. I think the Greeks had the name for all the different kinds of love. There's marital love, there's brotherly love or fraternal love, there's friendly love, and all these different kinds of love. There's familial love, where you have love for your family members even though you hate them, right? So the Greeks named all these things. So one of these days on the streams we'll cover that. Even though fans have certainly been vocal about wanting this duo in a more romantic, in a more you- when you write this article, when you wrote this article, Ben, you didn't think that more ending in a RE would clash with the romantic? Listen to how clumsy this sounds. This is the my OCD acting up with how these writers craft these articles. Even though fans have certainly been vocal about wanting this duo in a more romantic, those two R sounds next to each other. No, man, more romantic relationship. The relationship they and you repeated the word relationship. How about the dynamic they have is still one that should be celebrated? Come on, man. Be professional. Love is not confined to only those couples who are physically intimate with one another. Very true. And there is no need for limitations on people having best friends. It wouldn't be fair. Let me highlight that so that if you guys are reading along with me and not just simply listening, you can follow along. It wouldn't be fair to their characters to put them in a romantic bond simply for the sake of representation, especially when their first Disney Plus series worked so hard to tell the story of how they worked together through their differences to become partners and friends. Well, the word partner, the word partner has taken on LGBTQIA esque dynamics over the years, by the way. Before that, you could say, "Hey, that's my partner right there. Hey, what up, partner?" But now you can't do that anymore. If you say that's my partner, they assume that you're married to the guy. It's one of many ways that these people who are out to control things, they're they're basically basically perverting things. And by perverse, I don't mean the fact that they're LGBTQIA. I mean they're using something that was supposed to be one thing, and it means something totally different now. Like the rainbow. We drew rainbows when we were kids in our coloring books, right? And ancient cultures like the Mayans, the Druids, the Vikings, all these people drew rainbows. If they had the colors for them, they made rainbows. In fact, the Bifrost Bridge in Thor's mythology, that's a rainbow. Now, I don't know if that's very different from the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of the Bifrost Bridge, but you know, let's say it's the Marvel one, right? In the old days of Marvel, before the rainbow was co-opted by the LGBTQIA plus community, that was a universal thing, the rainbow. But now, if you have a rainbow anywhere, you're LGBTQIA plus. You know. Let me continue here. I think that's it. I think that's all he wrote. Okay. Let me get back to this then. If I can get back here. So I think that's really what I wanted to say here, where men are not allowed to be themselves anymore. If they're gay, they have to be compounded with other. In fact, in fact, here's the thing, right? There's something else going on here where nothing you are is ever enough. Nothing you are is enough. So, for example, let's say the guy's gay, right? If he's gay, then he has to be also bisexual so that he gets with women as well. Sometimes they do that by choice, especially actors. If an actor, give me a second. Um, Someone else covered this. It's a guy who I've done some work for in the past. Um, Time will tell if I still do work for him. He's very fickle, and I have taken my time in getting back to him on a particular project. So maybe he's moved on, but I've done some work for him. It's a guy called Richard Meyer, your boy Zach, and he said that many actors now they have come out as gay, right? But the fact that these people who want control over everything, as soon as you come out as gay, they put you in a box. Okay? As soon as you come out as gay, they put you in a box. Suddenly now, the only acting roles you get are gay roles. So what many actors have chosen to do now, they have come back out. Like they came out as gay and then they're like, well, actually, I'm also attracted to women, so I'm bi. That way, Hollywood doesn't, or the people who are out to control them, don't put them in a box anymore. Okay, so what you are, is never enough. So if you're straight, they're gonna try to make you kiss a guy on screen. If you're lesbian, they're gonna have you play a guy. They're gonna be like, well, or not have you play a guy, but they're gonna ask you, what else are you? You know what I mean? Are you also handicapped? This, that, and the third. And they also have what they've done. For example, with the thing where if you're gay, you can only play a gay role. If you're straight, you can only play a straight role. If you're transgender, if the role is transgender, you better get a transgender person. They have brought back They have brought back segregation. Did you see that coming? They've brought back segregation. They've segregated us. So now white people, and this is not my saying. Again, I got this particular bit I got from Richard Meyer, aka your boy Zach, right? Um, they brought back segregation. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? So black people, if you look at all the writing credits in a lot of these comics now, black people are writing black characters, Asian people are writing Asian characters, Hispanic people are writing Hispanic characters. And then they're trying to transpose that structure, that segregationist structure, over to film now, where Scarlett Johansson wanted to play a role as a transgender man. And she got backlash, so much backlash that she dropped the project. Now it could have been a hit. You never know. Could have blew us away. She's an amazing performer. Okay, sometimes she could be a little stoic, but generally speaking, she's an amazing performer. So she could have brought something very cool to the character, and we'll never know now. We'll never know because she dropped the project because she got so much backlash. She got assaulted online with all kinds of "you're denying roles to transgender people," etc., etc., etc. So it is what it is. It is what it is. These people are out to control everyone and everything. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you're on any social media platform, go ahead and share a link to this video, share a link to this channel. Okay, let me actually bring up the. I'm being a very bad business person here. I should have had the Cash App up. If you feel so inclined, you could drop a little something in the Cash App. It not only helps me, but it directly funds projects like a Black Star Trek that we're trying to put together, right? And help us grow this platform. Currently, the platform is only about 120, 130 subs. We want to get to 200. Can you help us get to 200? You know, hell, if we could get to 300, that would be awesome. That'd be amazing. So let me know what you guys are doing the rest of the day because I'll be coming back with more streams. Okay, I try to stream every day. I already streamed this, obviously, so at least I streamed today, but I'll be coming out with more stuff here. There are a lot of things happening, both in geekdom and in the political sphere. Political sphere. I can't speak today. In the political sphere, and I plan on covering as much of it as I can. Okay? You have a lovely, lovely day wherever you are in the world, and whatever time of day it is, you have a lovely one. Rotep out.